I wanted to text you today. Actually, I was thinking about you coming on the show, and it reminded me that you guys did a Predator episode of Friendly Fire way back.
Oh, we did, yeah, ages ago.
Yeah,
long time ago. Yeah,
I was re-listening to it because I just felt like I couldn't remember much about it. And at the beginning of the show, John Roderick is listing some of the pornos that Sonny Landham starred in the 70s. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And one of them was called like The Passions of Carol.
Yeah.
And like in the background, I feel like no one else acknowledged your joke that you made. And I was rolling on the floor when you said it. You were like, Carol, hold my calls. And my dick.
Carol, hold my passions.
And he just deadpanned and my dick. And either Ben or John just kept on talking and no one laughed. And I was like, that was fucking gold. Why? What's going on?
You guys know this as longtime podcasters. Sometimes the comedy be like that.
welcome to Predator Minute, the podcast where we break down the 1987 action sci-fi classic Predator 1 minute at a time. I'm John Zabriskie.
And I am Jeff Glover.
And with us today is returning champion guest Adam Pranica.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for visiting us on the show again, Adam. Last we heard from you was minute 68 and 69.
Nice.
Those are nice minutes.
They were. And so it felt appropriate to bring you back for minute 96.
Yeah.
Which begs the question.
Etchine.
Can you do a 96?
96 degrees in the shade.
Is that a thing?
I think look, there's a rule, right? The rule probably has a name that I can't think of, but there's a sexual interest for everything and every number. Even I feel like if you're into 96 and you're probably into smashing the back of your head into someone's butt like it's a warm loaf of bread.
96.
I mean,
that probably feels great on the scalp.
You're kind of using each other's butts for pillows in a 96, right?
That feels great. You probably want to do that on your side instead of like top side, bottom side, like that's a smothering danger. If your 9 is face down and the 6 is on top,
96.
that's not the way. I mean, I guess you could like do a swing situation, relieve some of the weight.
That's if you go out like that, that's embarrassing. Like the the autoeroticism.
Right. You go out like Michael Hutchence,
right?
The NXS guy. You go out like Kung Fu the Legend Continues guy.
Right.
Yeah. David Carradine.
You go out. I mean, like we don't laugh about those deaths. Those were happy deaths.
96.
Those guys
went out doing what they
should
love.
be so lucky to go out like that.
96.
Yeah.
Instead of on a fucking ventilator or something. Like, how would you rather go?
96.
I'll go out prone that way, and instead of prone in the hospital.
96.
Urban Dictionary has a definition for 96.
96.
Oh, what?
As a sexual position.
Does it have to do with the head in the bread?
96.
As we could call it?
It does.
Similar to 69, however, 96 involves no actual sexual action. The bottom partner, or the 9, usually the taller partner, I like how that's specified, lays face down on the mattress, while the top partner, or the 6, usually the shorter of the two, lays on the top of the 9, resting their feet on the upper back of 9, and resting their head on the calves or the heels. Once in position, both partners now drift off into a state of contemplation.
96.
Wow.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like a massage table situation so that the 9 could breathe a little easier, like face down.
Oh, with like the hole in the mattress.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
right.
That's probably safe.
That's
How often have you guys had contemplative sex?
96,
I don't know if it's ever happened for me.
Yeah.
I usually save the
finish.
contemplation for after when I contemplate all my mistakes.
96,
It's that 3 minutes when
Contemplate
you're,
how quickly it happened.
so I was going to say, it's for me, it's just a race to the finish. And then you just, those 3 minutes when your mind clears and everything comes into focus for a moment.
Yeah.
And you have that introspective nightmare, but then luckily you just fall asleep and
96,
Right.
you wake up the same.
If you're lucky, you fall asleep on top.
96,
with your head on some bread.
head in the
Yep.
bread.
Yeah, head on the bread.
96,
John, we're in minute 96.
Oh man, we are so into minute 96. We're deep into this movie. We're so deep that we're talking about what does the number 96 mean? Well, we just discussed quite a few things non-sexually and sexually, I guess.
96,
Depends how you
I don't
like it.
remember anything non-sexual about the last 20 minutes of our conversation. As after we introduced ourselves, it was just a sprint, just a sexual sprint.
I'm naked right now.
96,
I can see it. You should put a piece of tape over your computer camera.
Just the bottom of the camera.
I just moved a box to cover my knee from the waist down.
But did you know 96 is a town in South Carolina?
96,
What?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
The number or the spelled out 96.
96,
I think it's both. I think you would
Wow.
write it maybe shorthand 96 head on bread, or you would
96,
write out.
I mean, those that live there call it head on bread.
96,
Main Street is called Contemplative Avenue.
Go Loafers.
Oh wow!
My favorite single A football team.
We got a lot of pop culture from 1996, John.
A lot of good pop culture.
Where are
do
we
you want
starting? Music, games, movies? What? Well, maybe we should ask our guest because you have this list in front of you, Adam. Is there something that jumps out to you from this era, this year, 1996?
I mean, it's really hard to beat the name of that South Carolina town. What the hell were they thinking?
96,
You know what? When this episode comes out, you guys should make a big push. Like, get a hold of the city of 96.
96,
Try to do a little tie-in with their tourism board.
A little sponsorship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me and
Brenda
John
Minute
could be
talked about us.
We could be the face of the town of 96.
There we go.
Be on their sign.
I was a junior. I'm sure you remember this, John Zabriskie, in 1996.
Right, Mr. Cody's advisory. I was a year younger.
That's right. I remember very little of that year. Again, not a Sandlot memory of childhood for me at any level. Why don't you tell me what was up with the music of '96? That might be the one aspect of that year that I do remember enjoying.
Oh man, I was so into the Fugees.
Yeah.
I know we have another big artist there to talk about in a minute, but I was so big into the Fugees. The No Woman No Cry cover, the Killing Me Softly, the Ready or Not. I had that CD and I would listen to it with a buddy in math class, and we'd split the headphones. How did that work back in '96? I don't remember having earbuds. How did you? Wow, somehow we both listened to my CD player during math class.
Oh yeah,
We must have used the head strap.
a car Discman with a splitter, like a Y splitter into the headphone jack.
There
No,
it
it didn't
is.
have the Y splitter. It was just the one pair of headphones.
You guys just bend the shit out of your headphones and
think
get
we
one
did.
ear in there? Yeah.
Wow.
96 was kind of an
96.
interesting time period for popular music because you still had like grunge was hanging on a little bit, but that alternative scene was starting to get played out, and there was a lot of really shitty, like softer alternative bands. And it was that moment when the music culture was shifting back towards pop. And by the late 90s, we were going to get the explosion in all those pop bands, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and stuff.
Right.
And you can kind of see that in some of the songs you listed here, John. You can kind of see things like shifting there. You got California Love in there. You got No Diggity, Killing Me Softly, Ready or Not. So these were all like kind of hip hop songs that were super popular, kind of filling in that void in between these two eras of music, one sort of drifting away and the other one coming back in.
It's sort of a very non-threatening form of rap music too. Like,
Right.
like if your vehicle in high school didn't have a couple of like kicker 12s in the back,
Yeah.
in order to pound songs like, I don't know, like the Tupac album, I remember being very popular at the time.
Mm-hmm.
This was back when like East Coast West Coast rap rivalry was at its apex, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Tupac dies here in September, I think, in '96, and then Notorious B.I.G. is killed in March of '97. So just what is that? 6 months apart.
Yeah.
That's insane to think about.
That's when their biggest albums come out. All Eyes on Me comes out in '96. Notorious B.I.G. What is it? Life After Death, I think. I was definitely more of the East Coast fan.
Really wish I could take back the description of non-threatening rap music. As we segue into really like rap assassination.
Right. Were you guys car stereo kids when you were teenagers? Did you have the 12-inch kickers in your car?
I always coveted my friends' systems. Like my friends had the money for such
Yeah.
things, and I didn't. So I always enjoyed rides in their cars, but I
Right.
didn't have a system of my own.
I turned into kind of a car stereo nerd for a while when I was in high school. I worked every day after school. I had a job in this warehouse, and I would save up my money, and I would not spend it on anything practical. I saved it all up to put a giant stereo system in my pickup truck.
That's when you work a high school job, that's what you have to do. That's your
Yeah.
obligation.
Right? I spent it on speakers and ski gear, so I could
Yeah.
go up to the mountain in the winter.
Gotta do that.
Yeah, I had a couple big subwoofers in my truck, and I remember very distinctly playing that "All Eyes on Me" album.
Yeah.
Double album from Tupac. God, that was good.
It's working in a warehouse makes me think that's why you're so comfortable surrounded by boxes, right?
It's his thing, all right.
Just
Come
look
on.
at you. You're right at home.
It's my natural resting state.
What about the movies? Any movies stand out? I think Friendly Fire probably covered a couple of these. Did you all do Independence Day as like a pork chop?
We did, yeah, and it was reviled by all of us.
Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe a little less reviled by Benjamin R. Harrison, but me and John really took it out back and gave it the business.
okay.
I think I told this story to John. I'll repeat it quickly, but I have a good Independence Day story where I went and saw it with a friend the year it came out. So we must have been both 16. And when the movie was over, my friend turned to me and looked me right in the eyes and said, "That was the greatest movie I've ever seen."
You know what?
I've never forgotten that.
I'm not going to laugh too hard at that guy, because the moment Armageddon ended, I turned to a friend and I said that was the best action movie I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you're a little more impressionable when you're a teenager, and
You really are.
And when you're 16, in 1996, the special effects in
96.
Independence Day were pretty awe-inspiring to see.
Yeah.
And so in that regard, it was a fun popcorn summertime movie. Going back to watch it now, it is kind of a pile of crap.
Did you guys see the sequel?
Oh, the sequel is terrible. I
didn't even
I
see
was
it.
so let down by the sequel. It was
that's
terrible.
too bad. I haven't seen it. I mean, worse than the first?
Oh, way worse than the first. I think the first, I still have a lot of fun when I can watch certain scenes of that movie, but the sequel is just, I don't know, bad all around. It's so obvious that they did the thing where they got a lot of foreign funding, and so they had to kind of appeal to that audience. And it's like, well, this is like a lot of asides that you don't need for a movie about aliens attacking Earth.
Right.
Let's see. What are some other movies stood out? A couple Arnold movies, Eraser and Jingle All the Way came out. I know, Jeff, you love From Dusk Till Dawn. That came out this year. Oh, did I lose you guys? You still there?
I'm here.
Okay. I just remember.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
there you go.
I'm here. Okay.
Yeah. Usually Jeff chimes in whenever I say something like From Dusk Till Dawn.
Right. From Dusk Till Dawn is I know it's a flawed film, but it's probably one of my top 5 favorite horror movies.
Did either of you guys see the Danny Trejo documentary that just came out?
No.
It is fantastic. My wife even liked it. Check it out. It's really good.
Wow.
Speaking of people in From Dusk Till Dawn. I should have saved that for the end. That's my recommendation, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, we can cut that around.
You can still do your recommend. Sure.
All right.
Yeah. Why not?
I'll just pretend you didn't say anything about Danny the Machete.
You don't
Trejo.
edit this show. John, don't fucking lie to me.
I sure edited a lot less than I used to. I listened to it about 1.5 speed. I'm like, yeah, those pauses are just natural. Like me saying, "Are you guys still there?" That's in the show.
We have a tradition on our show of listing off all the sequels that we could find from this year. And boy, John, you found some doozies here.
It's just like another garbage year for sequels. I don't know.
It really is. We've got The Brady Bunch 2. I did not even know they made a sequel to that. Lawnmower Man 2. Homeward Bound 2. Hellraiser 4.
What do they do after they get home? They go back out again? I don't understand how you make a sequel to Homeward Bound.
Well, if you think that's confusing, Adam, the next one I was going to say is All Dogs Go to Heaven 2.
That's insane.
Maybe there's an extra heaven they go to. Who knows?
So the dogs get reincarnated and then they get hit by a car again.
Aladdin 3. The Crow 2, Mighty Ducks 3. I think that's it on the list. Did I miss any?
Wow.
Boy, that's rough.
Yeah. Escape from L.A. There's a good sequel.
Sure,
I enjoyed that one.
I saw that in the theater. Did you guys?
Did you really?
I did.
No, I was late to the Escape movies. I didn't see either Escape from New York or L.A. until I was well into my 20s,
Tell you
maybe 30s.
what's always a bad sign is my movie theater of choice, the one that I worked in for a time and then often, just went to see movies in, was, I believe, a 9-house movie theater with Theater 1, just the big one, the 1,000-seater, and then all the rest of the houses are like 300 to 500 seat or whatever, like much smaller. When I went to go see Escape from LA, it was in Theater 1 and there was like 8 people in there.
Oh God.
Like when the expectation of your need as a movie theater is realized like that, that's a bad sign.
Well, that's wild because, there wasn't internet back then for people to just shit on the movie preemptively. Yeah. So the word of mouth about it must have been so bad. Or the previews just looked so bad that
it must have been urgent. People were like going out and telling people to not see this movie.
Right. Look, dialing 911.
I know we're talking about something else. But seriously, you need to take this one to heart. Do not go see Escape from LA.
John, did any of these other movies stick out to you as some of your faves of the year?
I would say Star Trek First Contact, and that's not just to kiss Adam's butt here.
Oh yeah, you're kissing my bread, man. Get out of there.
Stop 96ing, man.
Get out of that bread.
96 in my loaf. But it's a movie I didn't watch for a long, long time. I was watching all the other Star Trek the Next Generation sequels way before I watched Star Trek First Contact. And so when I first watched that one, I remember just being so surprised by how good it was compared to the other sequels in my eyes. I really, really remember enjoying the Zephram Cochrane role in discovering.
You were very drawn to the drunk of the movie.
Exactly. The crazy creative,
the one who took the credit from Lily, even though Lily is the hero of that movie.
Yeah.
Is First Contact a Next Generation motion picture Star Trek movie?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's the one that came after Generations, the one that they shared with the original series crew.
Got it. Where they pass the torch.
Uh-huh.
Got it.
Which I believe to be an underrated movie. I like that movie a lot.
That's the one with Malcolm McDowell, right?
Sure is.
Yeah, the ribbon.
Oh, yeah. Patrick Stewart's Permanent Christmas. The most boring, chaste version of heaven. Actually, it asked more. It raised more questions than it answered, really, about Captain Picard.
Is that where he's just opening presents with his niece and nephew, or his two
version
nephews?
of heaven is Leavenworth, Washington.
Oh boy.
Just all Bavarian all the time.
all Christmas store all the time.
Yeah.
Chris Kringle.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
should we transition?
Let's do it. Unless anything else stood out to you? No.
Do you have enough for your open there?
That's a cold open. Now we roll the.
Because we can circle back.
96.
I think we're good. I
feel like I have an extra 20 on the Glimmer Man.
I could do a full episode on the Quest.
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, boy, that movie is shit. Hey,
He directed that one, I think, right? I think that's the one he directed.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, let's talk Predator. Here we go. Predator minute 96 opens with the Predator unplugging another hose from his helmet, and it ends with the Predator approaching an armed Dutch.
So in minute 95, there was a hose that we missed in minute 96, the hose disconnection. We're in media hose race.
The butt hose.
That's right. There were two hoses.
All right.
Well, that's what we talked about last minute. We speculated maybe he'll just spend the rest of the movie disconnecting hoses from his head.
Maybe one from his butt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, the butt hose.
The butt hose.
You're going to have to bear with me. There's kind of a lot of gear on these field trips.
Can you? Hey, do you think you could get this button right here? And
I left an Allen wrench in the ship. Just wait right here.
Predator, I'm standing here waiting for you to take off your mask. What's taking you so long?
We still call it an Allen wrench. We don't call it like a Sinarca wrench or something like that.
That's right.
It's the one thing. But Jeff, you want to take us to the first 35 seconds of the minute?
Yes, we are going to break this minute up into two parts. As we do, the first part will be about the first 35 seconds of the minute. We carry over from last minute. The Predator unhooks the second helmet hose, then detaches his shoulder cannon. He drops it to the ground, then unhooks more hoses from the base of his helmet, puts his hands on his mask, and begins to raise the helmet off of his head. We then cut to Predator vision, and the normal thermal vision gives way to an all-red vision. We then cut to the Predator's helmet dropping into the shallow water next to the Predator's foot.
It actually makes me great at developing film, like when the light's all red. It's actually kind of a hobby of mine.
Guys, don't touch those. Don't touch those. They're dry.
I'm gonna hang the negatives off of this tree here, along with the entrails of Billy.
His other trophies are just pictures he took of the jungle. Right. The real treasure were these pictures,
and they're really good. They're
very good.
Yeah.
It's my real passion. Like this hunting thing, it's fine.
So, Adam, you are here for the moment of the film when the predator reveals his true self. This is the first time we see him without his mask.
I think we all remembered where we were when the helmet came off, right? I mean, was it what you expected?
I
It
remember.
is, yeah.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it is looking ahead just a scotch, but it is like way uglier than I thought it would be. It is like breathtakingly gross to look at.
It feels like this was trailblazing in '87, like because our horror monsters are built for the dark, and while it is nighttime in this scene, the predator is very well lit and his skin pigmentation is very bright. So you really get a good look at him in a way that I don't feel like you get in a lot of... I'm comparing this to horror films, but I think this is a very horror film moment.
It's terrifying. I remember seeing this when I was younger, and the reveal here was, I still find it to be surprising and like effective no matter how many times I've seen it. The creature design is unbelievable, and especially in 1987, I was blown away by what the predator ended up looking like here. And we talked about this last minute, John, like up until now, it wasn't clear or not if the mask of the predator was actually the predator's face. Like they didn't really make that clear. So to get this
fear
reveal
hat on top of fear hat, like you're already afraid of just the mask, and it's fine. Like that's sufficient.
Right. And I like your comparison to kind of horror, and particularly 80s horror. I think here is apt because it reminds me of when we talked a little bit about this also last minute, John, but at the end of every Friday the 13th movie, there's always a short reveal where we get to see Jason's face for just a moment. But it was always really fast.
And he's always Sloth from Goonies.
Always. But here we get a very close-up, steady shot. The camera doesn't cut away. We are just left to breathe it all in. And I remember it being extremely effective when I was, 8 years old.
The detail that stuck out to me then and sticks out to me now is it looks a reveal like this looks puppety if it's symmetrical, but the asymmetry of the mouth here is what makes it look real. It really sells the bioreality of what we're seeing. Like it's not perfect in a way that I really appreciate.
Yeah, it looks like something that was, born and raised and, who maybe hatched and raised, but
as hobbies and interests. I'm a whole person, guys.
I'm right here.
I was only supposed to take pictures.
But it took a team of, John McTiernan says, 8 to 10 technicians operating like little remote control devices or giant remote control devices to make the face work, to articulate the mandibles and the eyebrows and the rest of the facial features. I love that little detail. Just Ralph over there, just more mandible, less mandible.
You could probably guess that his foreskin is fucking crazy, right? Based on what we're seeing with the face.
God.
Do you think it spreads out like a flying squirrel? Like it just stretches out wide?
Like
literally everything is on the table. You can't rule anything out about the Predator's crank.
I bet his foreskin is also asymmetrical.
Oh, yeah. It has mandibles. Is that what you're saying? Gross. Well, the mandibles, of course, we've talked about it before. The mandibles were James Cameron's idea, telling Stan Winston on a plane ride to LA as Stan Winston is sketching designs in his notebook.
Yeah, Cameron's like, add labia with fangs coming out. That'd be a good idea.
I love women. Exactly. Strong women.
Stan Winston's like, what the? I didn't even ask you for ideas, man. What are you talking about? Also, you're not sitting next to me in my same row on this airplane. Why are you moving seats just telling people about labia?
Just tell people to draw labia. Maybe someone will do it.
That's pre 9/11. You could never get away with that these days.
Right.
That's why Cameron flies private.
Oh, he's always coming with the asymmetrical labia.
Yeah.
Cameron. So, what were we talking about again?
I think we were talking about the Predator's face.
We were talking about his face and his genitals.
Right.
In that order.
Yeah.
Let's see. I didn't have a lot for this first part where he's just taking off the helmet. But
yeah, we kind of slid into the second part here where we get the face reveal. But that I think
I could have put the face reveal there in the first part. It makes more sense to me to put that there. But whatever, it's YOLO. So I did not have a lot to say other than, let's see, the helmet slamming down into the water really reminded me of when Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens takes off his helmet and like slams it down in like a sand table kind of deal. It just slams down and just sticks. It doesn't like bounce awkwardly and lose some of the seriousness. It just lands where it lands and sticks there, much like the Predator's mask.
I think we can infer a lot from that moment, though, right? Because anyone who's been to a beach will tell you that, like, if you get your gear sandy, you don't intend to put it back on, right? Like, you don't just drop a wetsuit into the sand thinking that you're going to get back into it and then go snorkeling again.
Right.
I think this is a guy who does not plan to fire his weapon anymore, nor does he plan on sticking his mask back on, because once sand gets in there, it's going to be very uncomfortable.
Well, in this case, it's swamp water. You don't want to put a bunch of swamp water back on. I mean, that's so nasty.
Yeah. That's super gross.
He's discarded it. I mean, this is kind of like the end of Lethal Weapon when they decide to throw their weapons down and he just fights Gary Busey in the lawn in the sprinkler, right? Like, that's what's happening here. The Predator's just throwing down his weapons and said, let's go mano a mano.
At what point do you feel like Dutch, like, so much of Dutch toward the end of this movie is like nothing to lose, kind of feeling dead already, emboldened to try new things because what the fuck? Like, everyone's dead and he's the last man standing. This might actually happen in the next few minutes though, but like, when do you feel like he feels safe? Is he never going to feel safe until the Predator's dead? Or do you think this is the beginning of that feeling?
I think if he was still holding on to any kind of semblance of hope of leaving this alive, that he would have just been running again. A couple minutes ago, he was still running and he ends up falling in the water really awkwardly when the Predator blows off a branch that he's trying to jump on.
Right.
And then by the end of that minute, he's stuck to the branch or stuck to the log by the Predator, and he just doesn't have any more energy to give. He just doesn't have any fight really left in him. We'll see that change a little tiny bit at the end here, but he is resigned to at least just fight, and that's, I think, all he has the will to do.
There's a cool kind of sense of wonder to Dutch here too. Like the film really does give you a minute to catch your breath in this moment and to experience the moment with him, with Dutch, in a way that I think is really cool. Like the will to survive is given a little bit of a break. There's a moment of wonder where Dutch is taking in this crazy visual, wondering what the Predator's dick looks like. And I like that. I like that it's not just ground and pound for 10 minutes until the Predator's dead. Like you are given a moment of pause. And I think most action movies and fight movies give you this moment to kind of catch your breath.
Yeah, at the same time, I would say on your note about characters taking in a wonder or some kind of spectacle, I feel like that hardly ever happens in maybe other genre movies where they're being chased, especially if they're being chased and the action just keeps propelling the characters forward. There's never the time where the characters just like stop and just say, well, like, look at this amazing place we're like running through, or like, let's discuss just the crazy ugly of this creature that's chasing us. It's just like survive. And
Yeah.
we're appreciating it, but the characters definitely aren't. So this is cool moment.
All right. Well,
I've over the last few nights I have watched the first 2 Bill and Ted movies.
Oh,
nice.
And I don't know when the last time you guys have watched those films was. Either of
It's
you?
been a long
No?
time for me. Yeah.
but Jeff,
watched
you just
I just watched the third one. Yeah.
I'm going to like pivot into sort of like serious film crit for a moment. In that there are 2 instances in either movie where a word we don't use anymore is used
Yeah.
to disparage another character. And it made me think about all the movies from the 80s that managed to dodge that instinct in a way that instead gave us a timeless moment. Like what we get here when Dutch calls the Predator an ugly motherfucker. I wonder what else was on the whiteboard here that would have been awful and bad, that would have made it so that we couldn't ever love this movie the way we do. And I'm really glad that they chose this, because this is a timeless moment and a great line.
Yeah. We had this conversation way back in the
That's
helicopter
right, because
scene.
Jesse Ventura uses that word too, right?
He does. Right.
Yeah.
And it's very flippant, and it's not in any scene that's really of much consequence. So,
but it's always such a bummer to go back in time and watch a movie and get like the bucket of cold water of that.
Yeah, we had a conversation where we talked about all these. We were trying to kind of list off other movies from that era that did the same thing. I believe the same thing happens in Teen Wolf. And there's a handful of other 80s comedies, especially, just throw those words around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. It's really a blessing that they did not do that here, so we can really enjoy this.
I mean, motherfucker is going to be cool forever, right?
Yeah.
That word's never going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, knock on wood. Jeez.
I mean, as soon as it stops being cool to fuck mothers, then it's over.
Oh, knock
But
on wood.
let's just enjoy it while it's here.
Well, I mean, motherfucker is like the greatest word, like, for rap songs ever, right? It just it rhymes with itself. It rhymes with everything. Like,
Yeah.
every rap song is better with a couple motherfuckers in it.
Feels great.
Yeah.
feels great. Feels good. Should we just kind of summarize the second part of the minute here, Jeff?
Yeah. So let's zoom into the second part. We already talked about the face reveal here a little bit, but we see his face for the first time, looking like as you call it, a dreadlocked bulldog with a clicking mandible jaw. It's gross. It's angry. We cut back to Dutch's face, and we get the great line from Dutch, "You're one ugly motherfucker." Cut back to Predator's face. He begins to scream, which opens up his mandible jaw. We cut to a wider shot of the Predator screaming, arms open wide and crouching. The Predator then begins to crouch/walk towards Dutch. We cut to the all-red Predator vision. Dutch's form is showing in all red. Then we cut to the oncoming Predator. Dutch grabs a nearby slog, that would be a stick log, rears back in a classic baseball batter stance. And that concludes our minute. So we have a showdown coming here. The Predator has revealed to us his mandibles the way a peacock might throw out their plumage.
Right.
And
That means Predator's ready to fuck.
he's ready.
Oh no, Arnold. Please kill me. Kill me now.
I do love that the Predator here throws off the mask, getting rid of his vision. So he's he's not blind, but he's going into this at a distinct disadvantage visually with this all red glossed over vision that he's going to have.
Yeah, it's like Dutch just put the mud back on all of a sudden. It's like, I'm going to make this really hard for myself. And I love the effect of him crouching to kind of be lower, because it also puts this effect of the predator maybe not being able to see as well. It's exactly what you do. I'm a glasses wearer, contact lens wearer, and when I don't have them in, I'm trying to see something. I have to
You get hit with logs all the time as soon as you put those on top, right?
Just slugs flying at you left and right.
You got to keep your glasses on, John.
Oh, I know, exactly. It's just that awkward moment or two when you don't have the glasses on. You're just like leaning forward, trying to
Just a log magnet.
But you're right, though. Kevin Peter Hall here in the Predator costume does a really good job with some creature acting here, kind of with this crouch and this walk with the arms wide, like he's making himself big, like an animal in the wild.
You know what it looks like? It looks like he's trying to scare a bear. That's a physicality that you've heard about. Like in order to scare a predator that is stronger than you are, that's the move you make. So that's a respect move, right?
Oh, yeah, maybe it's a nice little move to intimidate, just because clearly other things haven't worked that well with Arnold. He's still alive and kicking. Yeah. Did you guys see the list of TV trope I made, where the TV trope is called "Evil Makes You Ugly," where they make it really obvious who the bad guy is by making them super duper ugly in a movie?
Yeah, that's a good list. The Skeksis in the Dark Crystal. That's a good one.
Yeah, evil.
Yep. Of course, Freddy Krueger. Of course, Jason.
Evil.
I also love how Jason's disgusting face just gets more and more disgusting every movie that goes by. Yeah. The Terminator robot. It's good.
Terrifying.
Yeah. You got some good ones there. Oh, you got lots more. There's a second page. Shit.
I was thinking about that makes the Terminator robot with that metallic skeleton they have looks a lot like a shiny human skeleton. It makes me think of Jason and the Argonauts. That's the movie I'm thinking of, with Harryhausen doing the skeleton work and making the skeletons just look evil and angry as they're attacking the people in stop motion animation.
I see you got They Live on here, which is a great example. Yeah.
We talked about that last minute, how when the Predator's looking at Arnold's face, it definitely reminded me of the look of the They Live aliens, which comes out a year later. Just that kind of over-dramatized musculature and, of a human skull.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. All right, so let's see here. Do we have other things to add for this section, John? It looks like you got some facts from Xenopedia. Did you want to run through some of these?
Oh, yeah. It's been a while since we referenced the old Predator Alien Encyclopedia Online, Xenopedia. But this goes back to what I was saying that John McTiernan talks about in the commentary, saying that it took 9 servo motors to enable the motion of the brow area and the mandibles on the Predator's face, as well as a cheek squint. So I'm liking that. So if you're seeing the cheeks squint, that's another guy on the radio controls,
I think we all know how difficult it is to do the cheek squint, even when we have all of our servo motors working.
Right.
Am I right, guys?
Yeah, I'm trying to do it right now. It's like a half of a wink almost.
Yeah.
There's no, what's the effect? I don't know what the desired effect of a cheek squint is, other than just to say I'm alive. And maybe twitching a little bit. Call the doctor. No. Let's see. Anything else that you guys noticed from this second part of the minute, or the first part?
I think we did a pretty good job breaking this down. I think I'm good. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Adam?
One thing this scene made me think about was how tropey it might have been, and it still is, for the heavy, with all of its advantages, to choose to relinquish those advantages and fight more or less like on even ground, right? I feel like this is a quality to a lot of movies, not necessarily action movies or science fiction movies, where I think you could read it as like respect, like a gamesmanship kind of respect. But also, I can't think of an instance where the heavy has made that decision and had won in the end. Like it always backfires, right?
Right.
It always does. You're right. Yeah.
It's interesting how we're hypnotized into the feeling of like, oh yeah, this is better. Now they're even. But the person with the advantage always loses.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Yeah. You got to wonder if the predator has ever lost, ever.
Yeah.
You know, like he's fueled by arrogance here, I think. And I don't think there's probably ever been a human or maybe another creature on any other planet where he's gone hunting that he wasn't able to best.
You know who is all of a sudden reminding me of now is, what is his name? The bad guy in Commando when he's like,
oh yeah,
I don't need this gun, John. I'm gonna whatever.
Right. Exactly. The guy who gets the pipe through his chest.
Yeah. Let off some steam,
Bennett.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
Bennett, of course, that's his name. He just is so mad at Arnold at the end of the movie. He is going berserker and tossing down his gun, tossing down his, like you're saying, Adam, the advantage that he had.
One of the great like super mismatched fights at the end of any action movie. Bennett is just a tubby pile of shit compared to Arnold in that movie, and they
wearing a chainmail sweater.
Yeah.
Oh good God. Yeah.
And they set that up to be this huge mono fight, and Arnold would just pound him into the floor.
Well, he sticks him to the wall, yeah.
Right, yeah.
But that moment when he lays the gun down, like it's in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It works most of the time too. It works here.
Yeah.
I like how Arnold kind of subverts that a little bit by immediately reaching for a log.
Right.
And he's like, well, you're dropping your weapons. I'm just going to pick one up. It's like you don't usually see the hero do that in a down to knuckle fight. Usually it's just knuckle to knuckle and not picking up something extra right away.
Right. Well, guys, I think we've done it. Pretty good job breaking that one down. Should we get into weekly recommends, John?
Yeah, let's do it. So every week we recommend different things to the audience, and that can be a wide range of things. It could be a podcast or a movie or a show or a head in the bread kind of deal. It could be, just anything that comes to mind that you want to let the listeners know about. So, Adam, you're our guest this week. What do you have to recommend for the listeners?
I would say... first and foremost, like more than anything, register to vote. Get yourself ready to vote.
Good call.
But after you've done that, my wife and I saw a really interesting documentary that I did not expect her to like, but that we both liked quite a bit. It's called Inmate Number 1, The Rise of Danny Trejo. It's a 2019 documentary about Danny Trejo. And I expected it to be like a kind of saccharine, like guy who was in jail, turned his life around, and now he's an inspiring figure. And there is a great deal of that in this documentary, but I think the charisma of Danny Trejo and the inspiration of him is so strong that it really superseded any of the stuff that I think a cynic would tend to reject. I think this movie beat me in the best possible way as a cynic from way back. An unbeatable cynic, really, is what I consider myself. I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit, and I've been a fan of Danny Trejo forever, as I'm sure you guys have been too, and it was just really great to get a real deep dive into his life. And I don't know how much you know about it, but I thought I knew a lot, but I learned quite a bit about him throughout this documentary, and it's just really good. It really clips along. I think it's just 90 minutes. Really worth watching. So Inmate Number 1, The Rise of Danny Trejo is my rec.
No, is that streaming somewhere, or did you have to rent it on VOD or something?
It looks like it's on Prime. I know it's on iTunes Movies, Apple Movies. I think it's in most places where you can stream movies.
Great. I'm going to put that on the list. Awesome.
Yeah. Were there any specific factoids that stood out to you while watching that won't spoil anything?
I think it's easy to consider Danny Trejo as like a solitary figure with his own motivations in getting himself out of his terrible circumstances and like rising above and becoming successful. But what I didn't know about him, what I really enjoyed learning was about his family and his very close friends that almost dragged him under and that he still stayed in touch with, and how close he is to the city where he came from, out in East Los Angeles. It's a lot of detail here shading a very interesting character.
Okay,
cool.
And it's also like a really beautiful documentary. It's one of those new breed documentaries that really like was composed beautifully. It's very nice to look at. Like it is as good as documentaries get.
Nice.
Cool. Inmate Number 1.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jeff, what about you? What are you recommending this week?
Well, interestingly enough, I'm also going to recommend a documentary, but this is a documentary series that I watched on HBO. It's a 6-part series. It's called I'll Be Gone in the Dark, and it's based on the best-selling true crime novel of the same title. And this was written by Michelle McNamara, who was married to Patton Oswalt. And she died a tragic death several years ago before her book was even published. And Patton Oswalt and her family worked very hard to put the pieces of her book together and get it published. And it's an amazing book, and they turned it into a 6-part miniseries. It details her quest to solve the case of the East Area rapist who raped and murdered like over 50 people throughout the 70s and 80s. And the crimes are horrific and are also so simple that it just felt like this guy should have been caught so many times but never was. And she kind of became obsessed with solving this case. And so the documentary series kind of goes through her journey in getting interested in it, and then getting obsessed with it, and then eventually being a part of the solution, being a part of how they eventually solve the crime. So check out I'll Be Gone in the Dark on HBO or HBO Max. Max.
So I don't remember if you said it or not, but did you read her book too?
I actually have not read the book. I've only seen the series. Yeah,
I've really been wanting to see that for a while. How graphic is it in its depiction of the crimes? Because that has been so far a deterrent.
Yeah, I mean, my wife is very sensitive to those things.
Mine too, and that's why we haven't watched it.
Yeah, but she also loves true crime documentaries. So she's very sensitive, and she watched the whole thing with me. There are moments, the harder moments are when they interview the victims, and the victims like detail what happened, and that is very affecting and obviously extremely sad, and but it's also just an amazingly well put together documentary that there are so many other compelling and interesting parts. Like, it's a mystery, right? It's a detective story, and most of it is that. And so the parts that are triggering, I was fine. I was worried about my wife a little bit, but she seemed fine. And we watched the whole thing. So I would say check it out, and, if you come across something that is unpleasant and you don't want to continue, then stop there. But I'd say it's worth trying.
Ooh,
Yeah,
heavy.
Good rec.
yeah. It's a heavy doc, but man, it is good. It's really good.
How does it stack up against like the other true crime docs of the last few years? Like there have been so many good ones. Like, does it belong in that pantheon?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
and especially in its construction, like the way the story unfolds, and Michelle McNamara is deceased, obviously, but they use a whole bunch of footage, interviews with her, radio
Wow.
interviews, podcast interviews that she did to like sort of reconstruct. You almost feel like she's a character in the documentary. They do such a good job of like weaving her throughout.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's an awesome tribute to the work she did on this case. So, yeah, highly recommend.
Well, I'm not a huge true crime fan, but it's weirdly enough, I do like the more gritty of the procedurals where the detective is trying to track down killers and the like. So my recommend was going to be Luther with Idris Elba. I don't know if you've seen that one, but
Is that
Yeah,
the
I
one
like
on
that
Netflix?
I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but the season 5 just popped up on Amazon Prime, and I just started watching that, and it's just still as like gritty and tense as ever. Usually, each episode opens with some kind of just horrific, grisly thing happening to somebody, and then Luther just angrily trying to track down the criminal. And that's something I appreciate about a show like this. Is like a lot of times the procedurals, I don't know, I guess maybe it goes back to the 80s roots of action movies and stuff. Like procedurals over time, like in the 2000s, they really become like bogged down in like the minutia and like the team working together. Whereas Luther tends to be more like, again, like the 80s callback of just this angry man wanting to take everything on himself and want to just deliver justice on his own. And yeah, it's a solid show. It's a British series, so each season is quite short, like 3 or 4 episodes, and
nice.
really spaced out. I think the last season was 2015, and the 5th season just came out in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah,
I remember seeing it back in 2015 and really liking it.
yeah. So yeah, strong recommend for that.
Nice. I've not seen
go
the
see
show.
it,
I'll have to
Luther.
check it out.
Anything
Yeah.
with Idris Elba is great.
Seriously.
Really can't lose with him.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of can't lose, Adam, where can people find you?
Oh yeah, that's great segue.
For running.
I've been working on my segues for the last few weeks.
Wow, you've been doing this a while, huh? Episode 96.
96.
Good job. People can find me on the internet swamp of Twitter at Cut for Time. It's my handle over there. I recommend. I'm not on Facebook, and I recommend everyone else leaves Facebook. Also, there's no reason for you to be there. Leave Facebook. That's my advice. I have 3 podcasts. I have the hit war movie podcast, Friendly Fire. I have the new Star Trek podcast. There's a lot of new Star Trek on CBS All Access. Our show for all of those shows, that's Star Trek Discovery, that's Lower Decks, that's Star Trek Picard. You can find me talking about those shows with my co-host Benjamin R. Harrison on The Greatest Discovery. And then we also have a mainline Star Trek podcast where we're watching Star Trek in sequence, beginning with Star Trek The Next Generation, our first love of podcasting, The Greatest Generation, the big one, the granddaddy of them all. The one that started my podcast lifestyle is The Greatest Generation. I'll always love it for that
Keep
reason.
Keep going.
So
Do
on
that
on Greatest and you guys have covered all of The Next Generation.
That's right.
You've covered
And
all
we're
of Deep
almost
Space
done
Nine.
with Deep Space Nine. We're almost halfway through the last season of Deep Space Nine.
Ooh-wee.
Are you going to continue on with the original series?
The question that we've heard is, what are we going to do after Deep Space Nine?
Yeah.
That we hear that a lot.
Yeah.
I believe the inclination is to do the Voyager series and then the and then the Enterprise series, and then maybe circle back to the original series.
Gotcha.
But we haven't made any commitments yet. We have plenty of time.
Just
Yeah.
like
We have,
John
we
and
have
I
months
in
and
our
months left.
Predator series.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing but time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I recommend, look, you guys, if the teaching doesn't go anywhere, maybe you guys go pro
Teaching already
podcast.
hasn't gone anywhere.
What do you think about that?
Pro podcaster.
Yeah.
Podcaster. So would Jeff still be required to do nothing?
See, that's the tough part. I think you'd have to put him on a program. You'd have to pip him,
I have to move all my
John. You'd have to
fucking
put him on
boxes.
an improvement plan. Get him shaped up and flying right.
All right,
And
we'll
then,
do a montage.
So you have an equal partnership.
There we go.
You know what you
man.
get?
Guys,
You
I
get
just really
Jeff
like
Glover
doing that
walking down the stairs, looking as beautiful as he ever has, ready to get on mic. While Sixpence None the Richer plays. The transformation having been complete.
He just put on pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds
Double
about,
take.
Sounds about right. Yep.
And then you're ready for your next show.
All right.
That's what I'd recommend.
John, where can we find all things Predator Minute?
Oh, we didn't talk about where we can find you, Jeff.
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Twitter. I'm there. Carl_Hungus314.
My name is Carl. Ich bin expert.
Now, where is Predator Minute?
Hey, speaking of Predator Minute on Twitter, you can find us at Predator Minute. You can email the show, predatorminute@gmail.com, or you can join the the Facebook group, sorry, Adam, called the Predator Minute Listeners Palapa.
Oh,
Target's the
no.
center of the palapa.
Target's the center of the palapa.
Yep.
I see what I did there. I made a huge mistake. No, wait, here's the thing. I haven't made a mistake. I think your listeners should move the palapa off of Facebook. Get a website. Get a real website. Then you're not on Facebook anymore. You're not feeding that dumb, awful beast. You're off on your own.
We could get a subreddit and people could post pics of their dick.
That's what I'm saying. Reddit. Not as bad as Facebook.
Right.
TM.
What's the downside? I don't. Yeah. All the dick pics you can sniff.
Yeah.
Somehow
Whatever.
they're racist, too. I'm not quite sure.
Look, it's a little bit of a trade-off, but I think the trade works.
I think it's a trade up. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I think we've done it. We've done it. Whatever, however you say that. But we've talked Predator Minute 96. Adam, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thanks a lot, Adam.
I love your show and I love being on it. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Yeah. 96. So for all things Predator Minute 96, I'm John Zabriskie.
And I am Jeff Glover. That's you, Adam.
And I'm Adam Pranica.
The guest. And until next time,
Stick around.
Stick around.
stick around.
Stick around.
I'm just here to take pictures.
You one ugly motherfucker.
That was back when I could sneak a movie like Predator into the mainline
Right.
episodes. Now it's not very permissive. Now all those edge cases are going into the pork chop feed.
Yeah, I looked
Just too
back at
bad.
when I was scrolling through to find it. I zoomed past RoboCop, and I was like, "Oh yeah, fuck! They did RoboCop." That was another one you really kind of
We
shoehorned
did
in there.
RoboCop. We did Conan the Barbarian.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that qualifies, maybe.
It absolutely does.
I think so.
Yeah, it's the war against snakes. War against a weird suit made out of hands.
Oh yeah.
You remember hand soup?
God, I have not seen Conan in so long. Boy.
Here's what I'd recommend. watch that movie as soon as possible. That movie fucking slaps.
Yeah.
And the score is incredible. That Basil Polidorus score is like nothing else.
I honestly probably haven't seen it in 30 years.
It is like auditory masculinity. It's like steroids being injected into your nuts. It's like that. That score is incredible.
I am here for it. I'm going to do it. You just got me all jacked and
put it on the tube and
really
crank
hard,
it up.
Actually,
crank it up or put it or watch it wearing headphones.
Crank it out. Is that what you said?
Oh yeah, yeah. Take out your log. Slap the mud off of it. Set up a couple of moving boxes around so you're not surprised.
I don't need to. They're already here.
Then shoot it into some cardboard, man.
Oh man.
Jeez.
This is the most immersive movie watching experience.
Get Carol to hold your calls.
Yeah. Carol. Hold my calls.
What do you write on that box? Just kid stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, storage.
Jizzy towels.
Really stiff towels.
Broken
towels for donation. This is all in the show, right?
What's that line in Bridesmaids when she's like, I cracked a sheet or something? Three boys.
Well, it's in the outtakes, I guess. But if you guys,
this is our post credits reel where you see us turn to camera, like
right.
Great big smile, and then Glove says something totally inappropriate about shooting into a box full of towels.
And we all laugh, freeze frame.
Yeah.
We all high five left-handed. I love it.
Have you guys thought about how you're going to end the show? Do you take it on through to the credits? What happens at the very, very end?
I think the correct me if I'm wrong, John, but the movie by minutes tradition seems to be to treat the end credits as a single episode. Is that right?
Oh.
It's really up to the what's the word, prerogative of the podcasters. So you could talk about every single minute, and this does not have that many minutes of credits actually, which is nice. Or you could just do it all in one lump sum.
Yeah.
Wow. So it sounds like you guys need to figure that out. You're coming up on it.
Yeah, people keep asking us questions about this kind of stuff, and quite frankly, I just don't think about it until we're about to do it.
Does your credits guest take that as an insult, like the one you have booked for that show? Like, really great to be on the show finally, guys. Associate producer.
Oh, look at that key grip.
Yeah.
All right.
Gaffer.
We have talked about at the very end of the project doing like one more bonus episode where we do a commentary for Predator 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so
that's a fun one.
That. Are you going to keep podcasting? Are you gonna do another show after? I think I speak for the people when I ask, what's next?
We don't know.
Don't know. Yeah. Again,
are you guys getting along? Has this been difficult for your friendship?
Here's the deal. In all seriousness,
here's the deal.
John literally does everything. Like, I
can tell.
Yeah, right. This was John's baby. Like, John invited me on. He does all the research. He does.
I'm looking at John's feed compared to your feed, and all I see is boxes in your camera. And then in Zabrisky's feed, I see like a nice studio space with acoustic paneling and someone who really, like, the evidence is that he takes it seriously.
Now you get it. Now you see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He does all the editing. He does all the social media work. He does all the publishing. John, you really do everything. So, like...
Thank you.
So it's really about whether or not he wants you back versus whether or not you want to do it.
Seriously, like it's really like he takes the brunt of all the work. So, like,
he's always been a fucking tryhard. I'll tell you that much.
But I think at the very least, probably John will take a little break before.
Yeah,
to
we'll
Might be
maybe
good for the relationship.
We'll see other podcasts.
And I don't know. I mean, speak for yourself. I don't know if I have another movies by minutes in me. This was a cool project, but boy,
Wow.
it's quite.
I'm shocked by that. I look, if it's not a movies by minute thing, I hope you guys keep doing podcasts.
Oh,
I think you guys are really good at it. And I like hearing your programming.
I
Thanks.
definitely enjoy the medium. Like I enjoy doing it. I think maybe in the future I'd like to do something that had a little more variety in in our content, perhaps.
As a longtime Star Trek podcaster, I feel that deeply.
See, that's why Friendly Fire must be a nice. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but has it kind of been a nice breath of fresh air for you?
It's a great outlet. It absolutely is.
Yeah, I mean, because you get. I know they're all war movies, but they're all they can be very, very different films, obviously, from movie to movie. So it must be nice to watch something kind of brand new every time.
It's nice to with Friendly Fire, like you let the movie do a lot of the work, or you can let the movie do a lot of the work. Like the movie steers the conversation, the movie makes the case for itself. But when you're in episode 280 of your second Star Trek series, that pressure's on you as a host to bring a fresh perspective to what you're watching. Whether it's serialized or not, that's been a challenge.
Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, as we hit the 90s and into the 90 minutes, we realized this gave us an opportunity to, at the beginning of every show, talk about pop culture that was happening in that particular year in the 90s, and it's been a nice way to like change things up and give us something to talk about for the first 15 minutes or so of the show. That's
great. Yeah. Like free form, you're open a little bit, like the way we have for the last 13 minutes.
Yeah,
that's right.
Did you get John's Google Doc here with the notes in it?
Oh yeah, I've got it.
Okay, good. Yeah, because he's got all those pop culture things at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually something I'm having a lot of enjoyment putting together. Sometimes more than the minute descriptions, where I'm like, now I was having a good time, flashing back to the 90s and like the music and the movies and the video games.
Yeah, it's fun.
I don't know. Maybe that's a tangent we can talk about, possibly taking that. Maybe like focus on something from like a specific year and then talk about the year some. That'd be kind of fun.
That'd be fun.
What if your entire show was your open?
Oh my God. We'd be done by now. So, Adam, it's been great.
What a dream.
Yeah. That's what's cool about it, is that, we have the total ownership over whatever we put out here. So, yeah.